Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Canada's foreign buyer ban was just changed in 4 ways. We're going to talk about those amendments in this week's video, but I'm also going to give you a feet on the street perspective of what's happening in Vancouver real estate right now. Real quick before we get started, if this is your first time to the channel, my name is Hassan. I'm a Vancouver real estate agent and I make educational real estate content to help you in your real estate journey. I also make content designed to help you make your move in and around the Vancouver area. So if that sounds interesting to you and you want to talk about your own situation one-on-one, you can book me in the Calendly link below. But regardless, subscribe to this channel so you don't miss a future video. All right, so 4 amendments to the foreign buyer ban. If you've been following my channel for a bit, we have talked about some gaps in the foreign buyer ban and some unintended consequences, specifically on the development side. Those have been addressed, so let's quickly go over what those are. Number 1, the foreign capital threshold for a privately held company has been shifted from 3% to 10%. All this means is in a nutshell is that more money, more capital is allowed to be foreign within these private entities. This is important on the development side because a lot of these developers, they rely on foreign capital to be able to build out residential development. So that's definitely a positive thing. Number 2, along similar lines as what we just spoke about, development land is no longer included in the ban. So previously, if land was zoned as residential, so this would include high-rise construction, multifamily, it was included in the ban. So foreigners could not purchase that real estate, again, for the purpose of creating housing supply for the consumers. So that's now removed. Development land is out of the question. Now, it has to be for true development. What I mean by that is a foreigner could not purchase property and fix it up and rent it out. There has to be a change of use of the property significant, or again, it's got to be development land specifically. Now, the third change, very similar, is any vacant land is a similar story. That's been excluded because keep in mind the whole purpose of this foreign buyer ban was to target and focus and to help the consumer, the Canadian consumer, purchase real estate. So they've kind of shifted away and removed some of these provisions that had unintended consequences that weren't actually helping the Canadian consumer purchase real estate. And lastly, work permit holders, they can now purchase real estate in Canada. They could under the previous ban, but the previous version of the ban said that they had to work in Canada for 3 of the last 4 years. Now, provided that they have 183 days left on their work permit, that's no longer a requirement, so they can purchase real estate. So that may be helpful for you as a viewer. Real quickly, what I want to touch on before I get to the feet on the street is this development component is pretty significant because at the same time we're watching the Broadway corridor, and in a previous video I talked about a pace of change that Vancouver City Council was looking at, which may have limited construction on that Broadway corridor to just 5 buildings per year. That's no longer going forward. Council had a meeting, it got voted down, so there will be no maximum amount of building that can happen along Broadway corridor, which is a huge relief. You know, spending billions of dollars on a subway project, which they're calling the Broadway subway project, and not supporting that with residential development, that would have been an absolute disaster. So a couple positive pieces on development news in Vancouver. Real quickly, along the same lines as well, TransLink is now doing their first for-profit project. They're going to be doing it at Arbutus and Broadway. It's going to be a 30-story tower, predominantly market rental with some below market rental as well. So this will be at a future Broadway subway stop in the Kitsilano area. So several pieces of information on the development front can only help us as we work towards bringing more supply to the market. Now let's talk about what's happening in Vancouver real estate over the last week. Market is definitely coming to a sizzle, and there are lots of buyers targeting the same properties. There's not a lot of properties that are hitting the market. Similar story when it comes to supply, but there are a lot of buyers that are feeling more confident with the market and they're shopping heavily. Detached home in Surrey the other night, 21 offers. We'll find out what that sells for. They were asking, I believe, 1.275. Other properties, Brentwood condos, really hot right now. Metrotown condos and Metrotown pre-sales very hot. So long story short, if you are in the market, you're considering getting into the market, I've talked about having your ducks in a row in terms of the mortgage side of the equation, but in order to really be effective in this market and acquire property, you cannot be a weekend warrior. You can't be a weekend shopper for real estate. You have to basically, as soon as properties hit the market, your agent's got to be reaching out, trying to get in that evening or at the very latest the next day if they're allowing for showings. It's really a speed game right now. Truthfully, as a real estate agent, what I can tell you is, and I'm not suggesting this is a way that we should live life, but I'm not planning anything else outside of real estate besides my meals and like maybe a walk a day. But outside of that, I have to devote my time to be able to secure properties. So it's property hits the market, try and get in there. The other thing I'm noticing in the market as well is sellers that aren't expecting to go to an offer presentation or go to multiple offers. It's happening inadvertently because the property hits the market, the agent starts getting a ton of calls, and the agent advises the seller that, hey, we should go to a multiple offer scenario. An example, we just viewed a property the other day, the listing went live on Tuesday. Showings were yesterday. We went to go view it, and they're going to do offers on Friday morning. Now, this is very rare to see a listing hit and to see the offer presentation happen within a week. Not how I would do it. I like to list on a Monday or a Tuesday, give a full weekend to drum up some buzz and go to offers. But the agent was getting so many calls. In fact, they're even going to the offer presentation without having the strata documents. If you followed this channel, I did talk about a scenario like that. That's something I would never do, because if you're a listing agent and you don't have the documents and you're going to an offer presentation, you're basically screaming to the market, send me a conditional offer. Send me an offer with subjects. Put an offer that says subject to strata documents at least. And if you're representing a seller, you should be targeting that subject-free offer with only the rescission period to have to worry about. So that was my little tip for buyers. Very quickly on the seller front, outside of making sure your home is show ready, and this is specifically important when you're in the, I would say, 1.8, 1.9 and above range. If you have a detached home, it's so critical that your home is literally picture perfect. So focusing on the curb appeal, if you have any painting that you need to do within the house, decluttering, personal items, it all has to go, especially when you're in that higher segment. It's a little bit more forgiving when you're selling a condo or a townhome right now. So outside of that, my big advice for sellers is, because things are moving so quickly, do not set your listing price too early. Your real estate agent should have a general idea with you of what you're going to list at, but even setting that price 1 week prior to list, you're probably setting it at the wrong price. So again, my suggestion is you list on a Monday or a Tuesday, you solidify the price on Friday or Saturday using the most recent sales data possible. Oftentimes that'll involve us as agents actually calling agents to find out sold prices because they aren't reported yet. But this is what you have to do if you're going to list your property, because if you set it on an old price, you're mispricing the market. You're mispricing your home on the market, and that can be detrimental to your actual sales price. There you have it, guys. Some changes to Canada's foreign buyer ban, more development likely on the way for the Broadway corridor, and what's happening from a feet on the street perspective. If you enjoyed this video, I would love it if you could hit the like button and consider subscribing to this channel. What that does is it takes this video and it sends it out to more people so they can also learn from it. If you're in the Vancouver area, and again, if you want to talk one-on-one with me, you can book me in the Calendly link, or you can just send me a text, give me a call, send me an email, whatever is best for you. But thank you so much for taking time out of the day to watch this video, and I hope you have a wonderful day.